My first little project is a couple of vases, and I made out of some wine bottles. First, what I want to do is make sure I go ahead and peel those labels off. I'm going to use a drywall mud to give them a sculpted look. Spray painted these both white to give that mud something to adhere to. And just using a popsicle stick to slap it on. I'm going to spread it out, give it a couple of nice thick coats before sculpting it out with a putty knife, giving it some flat edges, just some contour, just something a little different. It was a bad attempt at an anthropology dupe, but it turned out looking okay, I think, in the end. So yeah, just spreading that out, making that nice and flat. And then I took some clear enamel spray to seal it in. And I want to go ahead and paint each one of these. One is going to be like a bluish gray, and the other is going to be a tan, a light tan color. So to make those, I'm using Delta Ceram Coat in Blue Heaven and Delta Ceram Coat in Black. And then Waverly Chalk Paint and Plaster and Random Generic Brown because I didn't have any other ones at the time. So I just give these both a couple good coats of paint in the colors, and then sealing them in with a matte Mod Podge. Mod Podge. My recording cut off, but there they are, with some of my feathers in there, with some random stuff sitting up on a shelf. This was an early on boho. This is my first boho, probably my most viewed video. This was a thrift flip, this little like bamboo charger plate thing. And using some clothesline that I had dyed with just coffee, and a paper clip to feed it through. I'm going to wrap it around and do alternating patterns of tan and white around the edges. And yeah, this was a really good one. I just used chalk to trace out a design that I wanted to paint, and using some painter's tape to, essentially tape off the area that I'm going to paint, kind of like a stencil as it were. So yeah, just using this painter's tape, and I'm going around making this little half moon shape, and just using a generic white acrylic to paint that in. Using the same clothesline in tannin and white, alternating colors, hanging, making them hang down here, kind of like a dream catcher. And then I'm using just some Dollar Tree twine to make some feathers to hang on here as well, using, again, a paper clip to feed it through there and to get that to loop on. It was pretty easy using it that way. And this is a technique that's, known to macrame-ers, I guess. Like doing these two loops. You go over under to pull the loops together, and then you repeat that, the opposite all the way down, over, under, over. And here I'm just shaping out my little feathers, trimming my little dangly bits there, and using some beads that I had on hand and some twine to make a little hanger for the back. And that's what it looked like when it was done, and I gave that to my mom, and as far as I know, she's still got to hang it up in her house, and this was over a year ago. This is part of a big collab. It is called Blissful Among Women, hosted by Miguel of Miguelitos DIYs and CJ DIY. And a bunch of us got together to do this collab, and we are doing a big old giveaway, $100. The details of that are, you've got to watch all the videos in the playlist. Each video is going to have a secret word. You have to comment in the comments below. It ends on September 6th, midnight Eastern Standard, and the winner will be drawn on the 7th of September. So stick around, and I will give you my secret word here later on. This is a really fun collab. Here's another vase thing. I'm coating this glass milk jug with some matte Mod Podge to give my Dollar Tree spackle, lightweight spackle, something to grip onto. I don't know why I got close up there. Using my heat gun to dry up the Mod Podge on here, and I'm going to take some black electrical tape to tape off where I want to put that spackling, and then I'm going to use that fat twine you see up there in the left hand corner to wrap around the bottom. And for some reason that footage got lost. So just taking my fingers and using that lightweight spackling all over the top there to give it that texture. And then I can pull this tape off and it's a nice straight line, so crisp. Just using some folk art white paint to get that all coated and sealed up so we didn't see any light peeking through from the inside or the outside or any side. And I just mixed some I have Delta Ceram Coat Black, I believe maybe that is, I don't know, with the folk art white to give it a gray concrete. And I probably do a couple of different levels of gray. There's a lighter gray, there's a darker gray, just to give it some depth and add to that texture and give it that concrete look. And like I said, I had lost the footage, but here I'm wrapping some thinner twine around the top edge of that milk jug just for some extra texture. As you can see, I have that fat twine wrapped around the bottom, which I lost that footage, like I said. I don't know what happened to it. And I don't even know. I wrapped the garland around it, the bead garland around it. And that's pretty much the extent of this one. It was super easy and, you know, looks really nice with all the little fluffy bits in there. It's a whole bunch of textures in one. It fits with the boho theme, I thought. I don't know. You tell me. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But it's one of my favorites and I still have it on display today. This one is a trash of treasure. I'm using one decor paint gloss, and this is Wicked White, and this is a folk art plaid product, and an empty sherbet container, and one of those straw hats from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that apart so it's one long rope of hat and paint that sherbet bowl. And I'm using some twine. I'm going to weave it about inside that inside the straw hat stuff here, just to give it a little dimension. I don't know, it was just something fun, a little different. So just hot gluing it, tacking it down, hot gluing it along as I go, weaving over under each, you know, each one is different, and then, you know, the next row it's the opposite, just a, you know, a weave pattern. And I just go all the way around. Instead of looping, you know, one long thing, I do cut. I wanted it to be, yeah, I didn't want it to have that bump that happens when you just make one continuous long line. So that's what it looks like finished. And I'm taking some leather that I have, and I'm going to glue that around the outside edge, and it's going to create a little, you know, it's a little inside there. And I fold it inside there, and that'll be the inside of the basket. And that'll show up right there. And now I'm putting some handles on with another piece of leather that I have. And I'll hot glue that down and tack it in. And this was a pretty easy project too. The whole thing cost me $1 because I had the hat. I got the hat at the Dollar Tree. Yeah, so I just tack that down. And that's what that looks like. That's a nice little basket. This one is super quick and easy. It's just a half-gallon milk jug. Peel off the labels. Take an X-Acto knife and cut it down. It's easy. And then I'm using the terracotta. Well, okay. I'm taking off the adhesive with acetone. And then after this, I will be painting it with the... I used Mod Podge, right? A layer of matte Mod Podge, and then I will paint. Because it's plastic, it's not going to stick. The Terracotta Dusty Trail. I love this color. It's probably my favorite. And yeah, so I just put a layer of that on there. Actually, there's a couple layers. Yeah, it's a couple little dents, but that's okay. We're going to put that to the back. You won't see it anyway. So I just put a little faux succulent in there, and it's an easy little planter. This is really awesome. I love this one. I've got some new Delta Ceram Coat paints, browns for the fall season I needed. And I was choosing which one I was going to use with this gold. And that is the leftover canvas from a tray that I made previously. The canvas was found at Hobby Lobby. I did not buy this. Somebody had given it to me. So now I'm going to do some of those macrame feathers. And this is the same technique that I showed previously with the twine. So I'm just going to figure out about how long I want them and just continue cutting the pieces. And I think I do a total of 14. I think I do 14, which would make it actually like 28 when you fold them in half, right? Anyway. So I need to tell you my secret word, and my secret word for this is macrame. In my opinion, nothing says boho like macrame. That's just one of the things that I think of whenever I think of bohemian style or boho style is macrame. So make sure you've listened for everybody's secret words and leave them in their comments. So again, this is the same technique as I used before. You go over under, and then you flip it and do the opposite the next row down, and you go like under over. I guess in this case it's the other way, whatever. So I just speed through this and fill it in all the way down. This is probably the easiest of the macrame things that I've been able to do. It's just, I can't do the tying of the knots so well these days, so tying macrame is not one of my strong suits. So now that I have this one done, I'm going to do 3 more in total. And I'm just pulling it so it's tight and hanging nicely, and everything's going to fall exactly where I want it. So once I've got those done, I've got them trimmed, and now I'm going to take a wire brush and I'm going to go ahead and fuzz these out. So there they are. There's those first 2 fuzzed out. And I took a little template and I saw this. I can't remember where I saw it. I think I saw on Pinterest somebody was doing this to cut their feathers. And I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but just taking my rotary cutter around the outside of that, badly, as you can see, around the outside edge there, and just trimming down those fluffy bits so everything looks cohesive and equal on both sides. I want to give it a nice leafy shape. And there are those 2. I don't know why I don't show the 3rd one. I'm just trimming it up with my seamstress shears there. Now I have my embroidery hoop and territorial beige in Ceram Coat, and is the color I settled on. And I'm going to, I've painted my embroidery hoop, and I'm going to use the back side of this canvas, the raw side. I didn't want the white because, we're going for the boho feel, and in my opinion, that raw tan color would fit that aesthetic a little more than the white side, as you can see. So I'm only putting it in like this. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife to cut the edge, but first what I want to go ahead and do is I'm putting an iron-on transfer on here. I'm using heat transfer vinyl to put a design down, and had some issues as I was weeding, and I lost some of the little bits right down here in the corner, but that's okay. I'm just going to use this brushed metal gold to fill in those little bumps that didn't weed out right. It's no big thing. I mean, it's only for me, so. But I'm going to go ahead and press this down on here, and I do have, I have stuff underneath to make it nice and flat. So I went ahead and tied my feathers down, and I'm using I used a piece of twine and some beads to make a hanger. Just to, you know, add a little bit more of that boho look to it. Now I'm putting in like a reverse, right? So it's like a reverse canvas, which was my plan all along. And because I did a crappy job of trimming, I have to fix that, but that's okay. So I trim this. I'm going to trim the rest of this, and I'm going to paint in the cracks so it'll camouflage all of that. And there it is. That's finished. I really like it a lot. It's super cute. I just think it's so cool. So now I've got these last 3 projects here. There's the basket and the terracotta planter. And yeah, I just think this was a real fun time. This was a real good challenge. Make sure you go check out all the rest of the playlist. That is linked in my description box, as I said, and I will link to Miguelito DIY and to CJ DIY also in my description box. Spread the YouTube goodness. Go make sure to give likes and comments. You want to enter that giveaway. Comment on everybody's video, their secret word. Don't forget, mine is macrame. And there you see the wall hanging there. And this is my little entryway. But yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I've been taking a break from the interwebs, the internets, and I'm really glad I have, and I'm going to continue to do so. I will have a few videos posting this month, but or next month, but not a whole lot. I have a lot of real life things I need to deal with, so I can't do that if I'm spending all my time on a phone or a computer. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care, y'all. Bye.